I'm competing in exploring a non-course subject. I did culinary, so the first thing I did was I wrote out a couple questions and filled out the questions I wanted to ask, and then I interviewed our culinary teacher at Skyridge High School. And then I got to job shadow her for a couple of days and just kind of see what it's like to be in her shoes. And then after that couple of days, I created a slideshow with everything I had learned from it.
This is the culmination of all the kids' work. This is where kids get recognized for all of the efforts that they've made over the years.
My speech was called Educators Rising Moment, and it was basically just about teachers who have inspired me, why I wanted to become a teacher in the first place, what led me into the profession.
The competitions help them really refine their craft, whether they are in speaking competitions, lesson design competitions, or they're actually writing children's books or teaching or whatever it may be. The opportunity to do a year-long project to prepare for these competitions and really hone their craft is amazing.
Each competition has a different rubric of the expectations. So specifically, I'm going to pull out the lesson plan and delivery one. There are several rubrics that go with that one. There's one about what they want in a lesson plan. It's open. So even though they want to see this section and this section and this section, they don't tell the student how it's supposed to look. So the creativity and the experience and all that can play out for the student's individuality and preference for the class that they're teaching. And then they also have another rubric for how their reflection is to take place. But again, very open for the students to express themselves as long as they're touching on those points.
We competed in ethical dilemma, so we were given like a story about a teacher and a student teacher, and there's like a conflict kind of that they're trying to decide what to do, what's morally correct. And so we went through and like listed like the issues that we found and then listed like solutions that we came up with.
We took it to state and we made a slideshow and we just talked about our slideshow, and we took third at state.
They like the play, they like the motivation to really do well in their competition. So on the downtime, I see them practicing and studying and even socializing with others from all over the country. So they really love it.
I was competing in pre-K children's literature, and I decided to write about nature and the environment, how we can protect it. And there were a ton of revisions, a lot of illustrations later, and I probably started working on it in around January, and then we went to state conference and I placed second there and qualified for nationals, and I just competed yesterday. So overall the process was really rewarding, and I had a lot of fun.
I am in the Ed Risers Moment speech. I wanted to talk about how my journey to education began. I always wanted to be a teacher, but I've always had the negative dilemmas about maybe pay, or maybe this isn't for me because I don't see a lot of people who look like me in it. I talked about how, in my speech, how a lot of times young black males are told be an athlete, be a professional music person, or do stuff like that, but it's never become a teacher because it's the implicit bias that white females are the best teachers in the world. But in my opinion, in my community especially, where there's a lot of young black males looking for support and need that comfort because they might not have that male role model at home, it's so important to have male black teachers. You know, it only makes up 1.3% of the nation. There's 3.8 million public school teachers. That's like one of the statistics I see in my speech because it's really low.
I placed third place on Louisiana State Conference for the job interview, and I had an opportunity to compete for nationals, so I'm really excited about that. The job interview was for a paraprofessional. So a lot of practice, a lot of research of what does it take to be a paraprofessional.
This year I did my Educators Rising Moment, which is a speech basically about why I want to be a teacher. The limit was 3 to 4 minutes, but I decided 3 people that impacted me, and so I wrote about them, and I wrote about experiences with them about why I wanted to be a teacher, and I wrote about classes I got to observe in. I memorized mine. You don't have to. You get 5 note cards, but I memorized mine when I gave it. So that was probably the hardest part, was memorizing it and dealing with the nerves that come with memorizing it.
I competed yesterday in the PSA video. They wanted us to create a PSA of why people should teach. and my group decided to do a video about passion in teaching because we were competing with our technical high school, and all of the teachers in our school came directly from the field that they teach, and so they're teaching their passion. So we thought that it would be really cool to incorporate those two things and make our video about that. So we worked on our script, we figured out what we were going to do, we did our research, and then we went around the school, we interviewed some people, and then we created the video surrounding about people turning their passions into teaching.
I was competing in interactive bulletin board because we got first at our state conference, so we were able to come here. For interactive bulletin board, you have to prepare actually a couple months before because you have to get your idea and do like a trial and error and actually get all the supplies, and sometimes things don't work the way they were supposed to, so it's a lot of revising, redoing, and testing with students to see if it actually will work in a classroom. And then we usually practice a lot what we will say to the judges, to teachers, friends, and stuff. Even while we're here, we'll practice.
I felt pretty confident. I think it went really well. I was able to take all the notes that they gave me at state, like only having short bullet points and making the slide a little more pleasing to look at. And so when I competed here, I was just a little more confident and ready to compete.
I competed in creative lecture, which is basically a TED Talk. And the way that I like to prepare is I do a lot of research in different areas of the prompt and try to think about things that other students would bring up, and then try to dive a little bit deeper into the subject, into things that maybe people wouldn't mention or different perspectives that maybe I don't initially agree with or would think about, and kind of look into this 360-degree perspective and then kind of integrate that into my lecture. And then I also like to try to think about my personal experience with some of it, because you can research a lot on these topics, but a lot of the things that people don't hear is your personal experience, and that's something new that you can bring to the competition. And I feel like those are an important part to my competition, because you're hearing it from someone within the school system about these issues who's being directly affected by it.
The main thing I'm judged on are my questions I asked on the interview, which they have access to, and my slideshow to make sure that grammar's there and it's following up with the way I'm speaking. Also the way if I speak with confidence and don't stutter, and just basically overall that I know what I'm doing and that I seem prepared for it.
If they have a student who's interested in competing, they would prepare their competition, enter their state competition, and then the top 10 of every category at the state level would qualify to come to this national conference. And then the best of the best come here for like the week, the 4 days, and they compete against each other, and then they get the big trophies and the big recognitions at the end at closing ceremonies.
I really like to go into the public competition events and see how other students are doing. It's really inspirational, really, truly. So yesterday we were able to go to 2 of our students' public event competitions, and we're so impressed with them, and it really helps educators at least feel more passionate about what we do.
Competing has been my favorite part. I love going in there with my friends and being able to just show what we've worked hard on and being able to present our presentation and get feedback from the judges. My favorite part about the conference is competing. I do really like putting together those competitions and to be able to raise my voice about things I see within the school system and to feel like I have a say in some of those things. And I also like meeting new people, because in my group there's about 5 girls and we're from 4 different schools, and it's really fun to kind of see how things work in different chapters and to meet them from other areas.